welcome back to It's All Her, the podcast. I'm your host, Geordie Lucas. I'm the founder and editor of It's All Her. I was an actress in a previous life and I'm a mum to a toddler. I've got a lot going on and I have a passion for helping women live simpler, better lives. For the latest in lifestyle and entertainment news, head to itsallher.com. Welcome back. I hope you have had a wonderful week. Ours has been okay. We did have a family member's funeral yesterday, which was quite sad. I want to use this little intro as a reminder for you to prioritize your health. If you have been putting off getting something checked out, if you haven't had a checkup in the last little while, please prioritize that. Life is so busy, and I know if you're anything like me, you put yourself at the very bottom of the priority list. But if we aren't here, the family falls apart. So put yourself first, prioritize your health. Let's get to this week's guest. Shelley Craft is one of Australia's most popular personalities. She's been a staple of Australian television for over 25 years. She's best known for her presenting roles on The Block and Australia's Funniest Home Videos. That was one of my favourites as a young kid. So how exciting to get to talk to someone that you grew up watching and still watch to this day. I was really interested in discussing career longevity with Shelley, as well as what's coming up on this season of The Block and her latest venture, the Aging Project. So here's my chat with the wonderful Shelley Craft. Shelley, thank you so much for joining us this week on It's All Her. I'm so excited to meet virtually. How are you? How are you going?
I am really, really well. Thank you, Geordie. And thank you for having me on your fantastic platform. I've been listening to some of your podcasts and there's some great stories out there, and to have you sharing them. Yeah, it's been a little ride getting to know you a little bit, but yeah, you probably don't really know all that much about me.
Well, I grew up watching you. I said in the intro that I've recorded just before, I grew up watching you on Funniest Home Videos. So it's really exciting to hear about your career, and obviously still watch you now on The Block. I guess, how have you been able to create such career longevity in an industry that, you know, talent is so dispensable?
That's a very good question. I'd love to think it's my work ethic. In fact, I know that's probably all that does set me apart from a lot of people who would love to work in this business and who have worked in this business previously. I work really hard when I'm at work. I give it everything I've got, and I go in there, with an attitude of what can I do, where can I do it, who can I help? And I think that's probably, possibly the reason why I have survived so long. And I'm willing to give anything a go, Geordie.
Yeah.
I've started in kids television and have done every genre since. So it's just about taking those opportunities, whatever they are, and giving them your best shot, really. Some will stick and some won't.
Was working in the media as a presenter always the goal for you? What were your sort of aspirations growing up as a young woman?
Look, I'm a third child, so if there's any third children listening, you'll know that you probably, or feel the same, there wasn't really much aspiration going on, to be honest, to be brutally honest. For the first years of my life, I went around to all my sister's dance concerts. I went to all my brother's football games. By the time I came along, you just hop in the car and off you go.
Yeah, you've got to tag along, don't you?
That's right. So I tried a bit of dance. I tried a bit of footy. No, I did have a horse. I was very lucky that I when I was about 9, I think. So I tried equestrian for a while, and that was a real passion of mine for a long time. I wasn't one of those dance kids particularly. I grew up in Brizzy, really simple but fabulous childhood of just being outdoors and enjoying life. And I think, that's certainly something that I still do now. It's very much about just the enjoyment of life, whatever that is and whatever that brings you. So no, presenting or acting were never really career aspirations. I certainly loved being entertaining. I certainly didn't freak out at doing oral assignments at school. I never had a problem getting up in front of a crowd. And it was in high school when you start seeing your career advisors and things. And I said, I wouldn't mind being an actress. Maybe that would be good. And, I was told, well, that's not a career. You've got to come up with something better than that.
Okay.
So hospitality management was what I was going to do at university. And in my, after I finished year 12 and I was accepted into a uni course to do hospitality management, I thought that's the same thing, isn't it? You're still meeting and greeting people. I had kind of this idea of being Michelle Pfeiffer from Tequila Sunrise, just greeting people at the door and seating them at their table. That's what I thought hospitality management would be. I started working at Movie World on the Gold Coast as my my Christmas holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that, they offered me a full-time role there. So I said to Mum and Dad, oh look, I might just have a gap year. I might just hang out at Movie World for a while and hopefully be discovered. Maybe that's what will happen there. And it didn't. That's not what happened at all. But a girlfriend of mine who was working there at the time, she scored the job as Agro sidekick on Agro's Cartoon Connection way back when, Teresa Livingston. And she sort of said, oh, why don't you just come up to Channel 7 and offer a hand, do some work experience. And that's what I did. I just knocked on the door at Channel 7 in Brisbane and I said, I'll sweep floors, I'll lick envelopes, I'll photocopy, whatever I can do to see what this beast is.
Yeah.
Sort of assuming, again, not really having much background as to what the difference between a presenter and an actor was. And now I know that there is a massive difference between those two skill bases, and you're very lucky if you can do both, and then sing and dance, the quadruple threat. But no, I did. I just started work experience, was lucky enough to then be offered a job as a production assistant, so learned all about the backgrounds, the ins and outs of how television was made. And I learned at that time that the hosts or the actors are very much the last link in the chain, the least important element to everything else that goes on to making television or making a production. Really so much behind the scenes. And then we put someone in front and they have a bit of that. That's it. So, I guess my groundedness in the industry was very much from a production base, and how little, impact the host actually had. So I'm very realistic about my position in this world.
I listened to your podcast, The Aging Project, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I listened to your episode with Georgie Coughlin, and you mentioned that you sometimes struggle with being vulnerable on social media, and that you've sort of had this media persona, but then, you've been able to keep your private life private, which isn't the case for everyone. So how have you managed to sort of stay out of the tabloids and the drama that sometimes comes with having a profile?
I've been around so long, Geordie. I'm just part of the furniture now. Look, I started on television, actually on air in about 96. And I've been on every week since then. So I am very much just part of the furniture and part of people's, living rooms, and that's wonderful, but it was way before social media even existed. And I just I've just lived a very normal existence. There's nothing much exciting to report on. So I think it's more that I'm just ultra boring.
Nothing wrong with being boring.
There's nothing wrong. I love being boring. No, it's fabulous. Look, I've got a beautiful family, a gorgeous husband. I'm not really news fodder, I'm afraid. And look, I won't say that I didn't have my moments. I have been married and divorced before, and that was very public back in the day, which was painful enough. I can't even imagine how that must be now when it's so immediate, and that it's that real immediacy of news and media, which I think is the tough part for people to digest themselves, because you're reading about it at the same time that it's actually happening, whereas there used to be, a little bit of distance between those things, that you could digest what was going on in your own life without having it exposed, without having to explain it to the world. But now, it's so instant. I think that's where people struggle, and they feel like they have to offer up more information on something that is very private to them. Whereas I sort of say, oh, well, no, I don't need to offer you any more information. What do you need to know about that for? It's not really news, is it? But, there's a lot more going on in the world than my social life.
How do you feel about the sort of the way that the media landscape has shifted in terms of, anybody can have a platform now, anyone can present, anyone can, jump on social media and
look, it's a whole new world, really.
Yeah.
And I will say that I'm old school media. These new, as you say, this sort of linear idea, this stretch that, and anyone can do it. And I think that's the beauty of it. If you really have aspirations to be in the public eye, to be a creative, or to chat to people, influence people, if that's a word you'd like to use, the opportunity is there. And I say 100% go for it. Just be aware of what that's going to do for you, as long as it's giving you something in return, as long as you're not being fed off, but you're also being fed through that process. I don't know why a lot of people would do that. As I said, it was wonderful. There weren't many kids at my school, I suppose, that were happy to just get up and be on stage and be comfortable in their own skin. So in that respect, I think it's wonderful that there are so many people now that are comfortable enough in their skin to expose themselves to public opinion and criticism, and that takes a really thick skin, I think. And to think that so many people are outwardly seeking that, I find really interesting, because it's not a comfort zone for a lot of people. And I see it with block contestants. They'll audition for the show, and they might audition 3 or 4 times before they actually make it onto the program. I don't know how many of them actually, or any reality television person, I don't think they actually understand what that exposure is going to do to them, for them. I don't think they understand how much that's going to affect them and change them during the process. Some of it's for the good, some of it's for the bad, some of it just is, the fleeting moment that it's there. But that sort of drive for public recognition or fame is certainly not why I do it. It's just my job, and I love having a chat. And the podcast, the Aging Project podcast, was something that started during COVID. So we weren't really working much, and I wasn't out and about. We weren't hosting, charity events or functions, and it was an opportunity that came along, and it was an area of the media, that I hadn't really worked in. So I thought, why not? Again, another opportunity. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens.
And it's something we're all doing. We're all aging.
And yes, of course, the content was very important to me. 46 this year. It was brought to my attention that I was aging, and maybe there's something I needed to know. So I went on the hunt for that thing. And in the process of, met some extraordinary people and gathered a lot of wonderful information about how to age well. Not anti-age, make it very clear. We're not about anti-aging.
That's the thing, isn't it? Pro-aging. It is a huge privilege to be getting older. I think a lot 100%. Of us forget that.
Absolutely, yes.
What are some of the key learnings that you took from season 1?
Look, I took so much from each and every guest. We have done one season, so that was 12 fabulous guests. Everything from orthopedic surgeons through to meditation. As you said, I interviewed lovely Georgie Coughlin about her life and manifesting. We've spoken to doctors, we've spoken to experts, we've spoken to women just giving us their life experiences through their ages. And I've taken a little bit away from every single person. Some of it I've put into play straight away. Other information is still sort of working its way into my daily, but it's certainly given me a lot more structure and ritual than I ever had before. I've always been very much a fly by the seat of your pants kind of girl. Just see where the wind takes me, and I realised to age well, possibly I need a little bit more structure in my life than that to do it well. Because it's going to take a bit more energy, it's going to take a bit more time, it's going to take a bit more commitment to the things that really matter. than just winging it and see how it goes. I
Well,
don't know
yeah.
if you can wing it to 120, but so now I've put in a bit of structure.
I'm going to give it a go. I read as well that you haven't had any sort of Botox or any sort of surgical cosmetic enhancements.
No, I'm what's wrong? What's wrong with me?
Absolutely nothing. I
think there's a lot that can be said for a great haircut, which I haven't had many of those in my life. I've had some shocking haircuts. Great thing to be said for a good skincare regime. Good genes, I guess. I just don't think I need it yet. I'm not saying never saying never. Just saying no, I don't see the need right now. You might all disagree with me completely. She should have started years ago. She should have been working on this for years. Who does she think she is? Turning up on television
it's refreshing. It's refreshing because you're so right. There's so much anti-aging products and discussions going on about how we can look younger and everything, whereas it is refreshing to just hear that no, there's actually nothing wrong with.
No, well, there's certainly lots of non-invasive. I have a facial once every couple of months. As I said, when I think my skin needs a bit of work, I get a fringe cut so I can just cover up. I get some layers around my face so I can cover up a bit more. I'm not going to say that I wake up every morning and go, wow, you look awesome today. But I think, well, that's me. That's what I was given. And I'm encouraging my girls. I don't often do my makeup at home in front of my girls. I'm lucky enough to live in a part of the world where I don't have to dress up every day to go to the shops to feel like to make an effort. And I've been packed enough looking rotten that, it makes no difference anyway. It's just not my thing. It just isn't. My mum is 74 this year and she's beautiful. And I love her face and I love her skin and I love every, wrinkle that she has made. And I've looked at that face for, 46 years of my life. And if she was any different, it just wouldn't sit well with me. And my girls are the same. If I start to go and change things and then they can't see themselves in me anymore, what's that saying to them? So no, I'm very happy in my own skin. Good, bad, sunburnt, wrinkly, patchy, but I do what I can with what I can. And, maybe there'll be a time where I go, oh no, it's time. But it's just not time yet for me.
Yeah. And that's it, isn't it? Everyone's so different. Yeah.
And look, again, I've been on telly every week for, 26, 7, whatever years. No one's ever told me that perhaps
I should hope not.
No one's ever said, have you ever thought about this? I work with a lot of makeup artists and I often say, oh, should I? Is it? Do you? And they're very polite. They go, no, you're fine. No, unless I was actually sat down and someone said to me, if you'd like to keep your job, you need to look a little fresher. But no one's ever said it. So
good.
Yeah. There's no time in the day either, Geordie. No. Geordie, where do you find the time?
You mentioned before that you live in a beautiful part of the world. You live in Byron. You guys have been really hit hard with the floods in your part of the world. How is it going there now? Is there an update on some recovery?
There is still a long way to a full recovery. I don't think there will ever be a full recovery in areas like Lismore, that were obviously devastated by the floods. Byron Bay is fine and, you could say back to normal, although there's a lot of stress around and there's a lot of anxiety about, every time it rains, everyone does tense up, does flinch, and that's everywhere from Grafton right through to, the lower end of the Gold Coast. It's still raining here now. It's been raining since November. It just doesn't stop. But the floods that we had were a particular disaster phenomenon. It was not just heavy rain. It was just extraordinary conditions. I guess that horrible perfect storm, if you will. And I don't know if recovery out there will ever be complete. I'm not sure what the plan is moving forward. There's obviously a lot of government chat and local council chat about what they can and should do, but everyone is still digging as deep as they can, and everybody is still lending a hand when and where they can. The community is so strong up here, and that's the one thing that has really shone through. It's always been a tight-knit community of locals in the Northern Rivers, and to actually see that in full force was incredibly inspiring. It was incredibly heartbreaking too.
Yeah.
And not one person escaped unaffected by that. But I do believe out of the bad there will come a lot of good. And we see that and feel that every day in the community. Everyone is just that little bit stronger, and you do know the locals, and everyone gives each other, that nod and that sort of knowing, that feeling of knowing what everyone has been through, and how everyone tried to lend a hand where and when they could.
Yeah.
And that was incredible. And that will also hold for a long time to come.
I had Lisa Messenger on the podcast a few weeks ago, who lived in Byron. She's recently moved to the States, but she sort of expressed her frustrations that a lot of it was left up to the community to sort of band together. And it certainly felt that way. I live in Melbourne. It certainly felt that way watching it unfold.
The community was always going to do whatever they could do and help wherever they could help. I think for all of us, and Lisa was an extraordinary force on the ground up here of just showing some leadership and guidance. And I think that's what was really missing. There was 10,000 Indians ready to work, ready to do something, and the chiefs weren't there. And I think that's where everyone just felt at a bit of a loss. When you have a 20-year-old yoga instructor standing up, rallying a group of volunteers to go and help and rescue people, rescue animals, to start the cleanup. When you've got people like that in your own community that are ready to stand up and be front runners, that's extraordinary. Yeah. Should that have been left to a 20-year-old yoga instructor? She would have, they would have done it anyway. Just that the pace that it took to have some leaders here that would have made everyone feel that much safer and more in control, and like we were all heading in the right direction. There was a lot being done from a lot of little epicenters of those chiefs that did, that could rally their own crowds or support. To sort of have a general overview of someone or a group that we could all listen to and all respond from. I think in those early, the week, 2 weeks, would have been phenomenal, just for morale, I'm an Indian. I'm absolutely Indian. I have no inspiration to be a chief. That's not my skill base, but I will do anything if somebody tells me the direction I need to go in. And to see that there's so many people looking to help, but no real direction of where to put that help. And then you have someone like Lisa. So, she had this amazing team of people around her that she could get word out to and spread the word from there. And there were certainly other groups. Cornerstone was one of those doing that as well. Tara Comerford was a wonderful woman in the Byron Bay community who was sort of rallying support from Byron. So there were little hubs everywhere, just that lack of overall professional leadership from the people that you hope are there for you when in times like that, when you need it.
And so with the election coming up on Saturday, what's the general feeling up there?
I've got no idea, to be honest, what anyone's heads are at. I would think there's a very strong independent push this way. Each of the areas have been tightly held by their own councils for so long. Would federal make a difference to us? Should our local governments have more voice? I don't know. Politics isn't my strong point.
Neither.
I don't know. And again, I'm not an influencer, and I don't really put my personal opinion out there very often at all, because everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Totally.
People don't look to me to be a voice for things like that, and that's fine. I can be with myself and my family. It's just not something that I often put out there in the world. And if people say, well, you do have a platform, you should say more, that's fine for you. It's just not where I'm comfortable.
Yeah, totally. Let's talk about the next season of The Block. What can we expect? Because there's already been some reporting of contestants walking off in the first few days of filming. There's been some speculation about who might be competing this year, where you're filming. Can you give us
drama?
I know. I've done my research. Can you give us any
I can tell you
what's going on?
We are middle of filming now. So I fly down to Melbourne on Wednesday nights and I come back Friday nights. So I really do 2 days a week down there. We're in Gisborne, which is about 25 minutes northwest of Melbourne Airport.
Yep.
They're 10-acre blocks. So we have 5 teams, producing 10 acres of land, house and land. Which is just like, I've been doing this now for 13 seasons, something crazy. And every year I say the block is bigger and badder than ever
I was just going to say, every year you say it's bigger.
Yeah, but where do you go? Where do you go from, what we did last year, a cul-de-sac? And we've done buildings before. We've done high-rises, to now be on acreage, which I think is really timely. It's certainly something that has been on the minds of our executive team for a long time, but the time just seemed right. That tree change idea, having had lockdowns for 2 years, and I know the last few series, we've made a really conscious effort for the houses to be COVID ready, I suppose. Home offices, retreats, wellness areas, breakout spaces. Everyone, it was all about open plan for a while, and now I think houses really are, no, we need some walls. I need some privacy. I need to shut this down a little bit. So this year to go that next level of, well, if I can work from home, or if I can do a few days in the city and a few days out further, I need space. I need fresh air. I want more quality time with my family, not spending hours in the car driving across the city. I think, we've seen a huge change in the way people want to live. And again, maybe that is the one great thing that comes out of COVID, is that people had time to sit and assess what they really want from life. And, for a lot of people that was, well, maybe city living's not really for me. If I don't have to be there for work, perhaps a tree change or a sea change might be something for me. And the block is certainly taking that next level this season.
So when can we expect to see that on screen?
We'll kick off, what do we usually, end of July, mid-August is normally when we start on air, and then the auctions will be live at the end of that, sort of end of October. So the contestants are in the thick of it at the moment, and we've got some beautiful characters, we've got some wonderful contestants. There'll be the team that you love and the team you love to hate, as always, and that will change throughout the series, as always. But they're giving it everything they've got. And as I said earlier, when we were talking about social media and that sort of breakup of media, I'm amazed that people would ever put themselves out there for something like The Block, because it's so bloody hard.
But the reward can be so great.
Rewarding.
Like you guys have given away more money than any other reality TV show.
Yes, we have. We're up into the tens of millions now as prize money goes. It's extraordinary. And yes, that opportunity, that chance to change your life. And that's what I love so much about the show, Geordie. It's the stories of the people. I love the reno and I love the cushions. I love the artwork and the, I'm a mad renovator myself. But to see how people change and evolve during their time on the show is beautiful. And the growth that they have as people and the challenges they put themselves through, and being away from their family and their children in a really foreign environment, to better themselves and, you know, the opportunity for bettering their life. I mean, that's a huge risk. And I'm so proud of them all. I think they're all crazy. I think they're all absolutely mad. But you know, I do play mother hen. I'm so proud of them at the end of the day, because that's a big undertaking. For potentially nothing, you know, for potentially no financial reward.
And there's been seasons where that's happened, hasn't it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Devastating to watch.
Devastating. But those contestants still have so much opportunity. They've had so much growth. They don't see it on auction night, of course, but they do see it in the months and years after that. Just what that did for them. Not even, you know, as far as career goes, but just as people. And then we've seen some obviously just grab it with both hands, and their careers have changed complete direction, and then have blown up into something magical that they never even imagined. And I know that's coming for all of them. You know, after my experiences, I know that so much good is coming to all of the people that are ever on the show. But when you don't walk away with that cool $500,000 that you thought you were going to get, I guess, you know, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth at first.
One thing that you mentioned before, which is why I love the show so much, is it's seeing just regular people that transform their lives. And in the last few seasons, we've seen some contestants who perhaps we might know from other reality TV shows, or perhaps already have a following on social media. I know you're not casting, but what do you think is the benefit of having contestants on the show that we already recognise?
Look, I think for, say, last season we had the Love Island boys. I think you might be referring to particularly. Yes. Well, look, there's many reasons why they're on the show, I'm sure, and renovating wasn't necessarily all of them. But, you know, look, if you're willing to put yourself out there, and we didn't just pluck them out of nowhere, they auditioned for the block like every other contestant that we had on the show.
Okay.
You know, they had something to prove to themselves and to the audience, that they weren't just, you know, good-looking fellas. And that was really, I'm sure, what motivated our casting team to go, well, let's see what they've got, you know. Again, they probably were a little bit typecast for Love Island, even though I'm sure they auditioned for that as well. But then they didn't want to be seen as just that. So what a great opportunity to show how deep you can dig, and to get out there. And look, everybody who does turn up to the show can't believe how hard it actually is, how real it actually is. Yes, they do have to sleep in tents or in the shell of a house until they build themselves a room. And we still have contestants go, oh, so when's the bus come to take us to the hotel? It's like, oh, no, there's no hotel. This is it for the next 12 weeks.
Oh, my God.
I think people still don't realise that it's as real as a reality show gets. Like, this is it. You're in for the long haul now, and we'll see how you come out the other end, which is always better than how you went in.
You would hope. We had some listener questions come through, and the first one was advice for auditioning for the block, because I'm sure there would be thousands and thousands of applications every year. How do you suggest that someone stands out?
Wow, look, there's tens of thousands of people audition every year. This is my best advice for you. Jump onto Lucky Creative on Instagram. Lucky is our casting director. He is phenomenal, and he is forever giving out tips of the trade, tricks for auditioning. I think he's even running auditioning classes for reality television. So even if it's not for the block, if you really want to be seen and noticed by a casting director, that's the best way to go about it, as far as I can tell. In my book, as I said, if I can draw anything from my longevity in this business, is be authentic. Just be as close to yourself as you can be. And if you can't, then maybe reality television isn't for you. Maybe get a script, maybe try acting instead, where you can play someone else. But reality really is all about being comfortable in your own skin and being happy to share that vulnerability. We're not looking for couples that are going to fight and argue. We're not looking for you to show us a big blow up on your audition. Some renovation experience is helpful to you, but it's absolutely not a criteria for us. It's really just about how honest and authentic you can be in the workings of your relationship. Yeah. And obviously you've got to be, mildly entertaining to get there as well. So, if you love renovating, you've got a great partner, whether that be a sibling, a parent, a life partner, a couple of mates that you want to give it a go. Just give it a go. Just give it a go and see firstly that you are going to be comfortable having cameras in your face for 12 weeks. They are there every morning when you wake up, and they are there every night when you are still painting, and every dawn when you are still painting. The cameras will be there. So there is no smoke and mirrors. We do not take you off for, spa packages and hotels at night. That's my little treat during the series. I get to sometimes take you off for nice things. But it's hard yakka. But at the end of the day, it's a bloody lot of fun too.
Oh, there was a contestant someone says it every year, but when a contestant says, "Get that camera out of my face," it's like, what we were expecting. Yes. Or take that mic, I'm taking my microphone off. It's like, nah. No. The other question that I thought was a really good one was advice on getting your start as a presenter.
Right. Well, presenting is a very different bag, completely different to reality, completely different to acting. And as I said in the beginning, I didn't really appreciate the difference between the two. Geordie, you've done both now, so you would understand that there really is an honesty and a comfort factor. As I said, always be comfy in your own skin to presenting. And there's a lot of things that just happen that you cannot control, whereas acting obviously is a lot more of a controlled environment. And you have the beauty but also the challenge of enveloping a character and losing yourself in that. As a presenter, it's all you carry your own name, you carry your own face, you wear your own clothes, and I do believe the best presenters are the ones who are genuinely themselves. I won't say, there's different sides to me that I don't necessarily need to show on camera. And that's where reality contestants come in, because they do show all sides of their character. But presenting as old school as it was when I started was very much work experience. There weren't courses that you could do to become a presenter. Journalism, I guess, was the one option that was available through learning institutions, universities and courses, etc. Acting, there was obviously acting schools around, but nothing really for presenters. It was very much a cadetship. It was an on-the-job learning. Now, of course, we see sports stars becoming presenters. We see people from vets or doctors becoming presenters. It's certainly easy when you have a topic that you love, that you can talk about freely and easily. And I think that's why those other careers, whether they be vets or doctors, if they're sticking to their subject matter, once they're comfortable in front of the camera, then they can go on and present in any other industry, any other genre. But pure presenters, there's only a few of us around. It's not started as presenters. A dying breed. A dying breed. Yeah, we are a dying breed. And then, as you say, you look at Instagram and there's thousands of people now that can do a beautiful, what we call a piece to camera. Look down the barrel and have a chat. I am terrible at social media. I struggle so much with just having a chat. Because as you can tell, I can't keep it to short grabs. I can't keep it under a minute. I can't stop talking. I really admire the people that can do a great Instagram video, because I'm shit out.
But there is such a, I remember when I was a kid trying to get my start in acting, and there was a real pressure to be very polished and to perhaps not show any vulnerability and be polished, I guess, and to have people on socials now where there's a real currency of being vulnerable and open, it makes me feel uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah, but they're so brave to do it. And whatever it is, as I said, as long as they're getting fed, as long as they're getting something back, something positive back,
doing it for the right reasons as well.
Absolutely.
I think is really important.
Yeah. I think the greatest evolution we've seen in presenting probably has been in that morning television genre. You know, the men and women that do Today shows and Sunrises, etc. Back in the day, it was all very controlled, very scripted. Stick to the auto cue, have a bit of a gag, you know, between each other during the ad breaks, but then we're back on and it's business.
Yeah.
And to see those journalists now, you know, having free conversation with each other on air is something that's only seriously has evolved in the last, you know, 10 years or so.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's lovely that they can be professionals in their journalistic field, but still have a personality.
Yeah.
I think that's great. But it has changed. That has certainly changed.
Definitely.
So presenting, obviously news journalism is one thing and you do have to go to university for that. Presenting, look, get on a reality show.
Go on The Bachelor or something.
Yeah, get a profile, see how you go. Yeah.
My final question, and I finish every episode with this, is at It's All Her, we are all about making life simpler and better for women, which there's a huge synergy between that and the Aging Project.
Yes.
So how do you make your life simpler and better?
Well, firstly, I love a simple life. And I think there are people that love a complicated life. And I think you bring back to yourself what you put out there. I don't look for anything more than I have around me. I'm very grateful for every opportunity and everything that I have and everything that I've been able to create with my family. I don't want for much. I want a simple life. So I weed things out that don't sit well with me or that don't help me along that strategy. I am a working mum. I've got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old who have 100 extracurricular activities. We love our family time together. And, you know, we do live in a part of the world where we don't spend a lot of time travelling between all those activities. So that, you know, the move to Byron Bay from a city, which some people would say, you know, you might have sacrificed some career opportunities for that. That was a non-negotiable for me. I didn't need any more career opportunities. I'd had a wonderful career, and if it continued beyond the move, well, that was awesome too, and it has, which has been awesome. But I think, you know, don't make things bigger than they are. Look at everything in perspective to how it works in the rest of your world. And don't feel afraid to drop things if they're not working for you. You know,
it doesn't have to be complicated.
It doesn't have to be. Just shed the shit. Basically,
Shed the shit.
Yeah, sorry, but that's
might call that episode "Shed the Shit" with Shelley Craft.
Yeah, I think we're often conditioned to hold on to a lot of things or to pretend that we want or need a lot of things, but you just don't in this world. You know, you need love and you need support and you need a great community and a network of family and friends that are there for you, and you know, the rest is cream on top of that. So get that bit right.
Thank you so much, Shelley. I've loved chatting with you, and of course I will link the Aging Project in the show notes so everyone can jump over and have a listen.
Beautiful. Thank you, Geordie. Lovely to chat to you.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of It's All Her. If you have loved this episode, please rate, review and subscribe wherever you listen, and I'll be back in your ears next week.